Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Sue and today we're doing a basic power yoga class. So what's a power yoga class? It's a vigorous form of yoga that is more free-form and not based on any rules or tradition. We're not trying to get you into a pretzel form. You don't have to be Gumby to perform power yoga. In fact, most people can do power yoga with a little bit of modification until you build up your strength. Our power yoga class is purposefully vigorous and energizing. It is a great way to tone and strengthen your muscles. It's going to be a basic class, but that doesn't mean it won't be challenging. So I hope you enjoy this class. Please join me in child's pose. So I like to take a white knee child's pose, knees a little wider, toes together, and then allow the body to relax. Forehead touching the ground, arms soft. We'll take a few moments to center and prepare mind and body for our yoga class. Begin with deep breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. If you know what Ujjayi breath is or ocean sounding breath is, please try to take it throughout the whole class. Inhaling in through the nose and exhaling out through the nose. Feel the entire body soften into your mat. Put aside all distractions. Be very present. Be right here, right now. Let's take that one more big inhale. Next inhale, press up into tabletop. Hands about shoulders width apart. Good spread those fingers. Curl the toes under and lift up into downward facing dog. Bend one knee, straighten the other leg. And then switch. And switch. Take the inhale and exhale to switch again. And come back into downward facing dog. Both legs a little straighter, those heels reaching down towards the mat. Press down into the fingers. And send your gaze up in between the hands. Walk your feet to the top of the mat to come into forward bend. If you probably still feel quite tight in the back of the legs, so keep your knees slightly bent, especially for the first few breaths in this pose. One more deep breath. Come out of this pose, bend your knees, and roll all the way up or come up with a flat back. Stretch your arms out, reach the arms overhead, palms meet. With the palms together, slide the hands right down the center. Hands in prayer, standing tall. Let's begin with sun salutation A. Inhale to stretch your arms out, reach the hands overhead, and exhale, fold into forward bend. Next inhale, lift up halfway. Your hands can be on your shins or on the mat, but you're looking for a flat back, long neck, and long spine. Exhale, hands on the mat. Let's walk walk your feet back into a high push-up position for this first one. Okay, so we're going to take high push-up position, stacking the shoulders over the wrists. And next we're taking low push-up. We need to hug the body, the elbows in close to the body for this one. Okay. Shift slightly forward so that your elbows is at a 90-degree angle. And inhale into cobra or upward facing dog. Good. Next exhale, take your way back into downward facing dog. Lifting the hips up and back, downward dog. Keep breathing. Try to hold it here for 5 breaths. You can take the knees down onto the mat for a break if you need to. Press down into those fingers. Your heels don't have to come down onto the mat, but you need to feel a stretch the back of the legs. So strengthen those legs. Keep pressing the thighs back. Lift the hips up high. One more deep breath here. At the end of this exhale, send your gaze up in between the hands. Walk or hop or step your feet up to the top of the mat. For this first one, let's step 1 foot at a time. Inhale, lift up halfway for flat back. Exhale to fold into a forward bend. And inhale, come back up, stretch your arms out, let the palms touch. And exhale, back to the start. Now let's keep going. Inhale, reach your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold into forward bend. Inhale, lift up halfway for flat back. Exhale, hands on the mat, step, walk or hop back into high push-up. Adjust here, low push-up. I forgot to mention, you can always bring those knees down for low push-up. Inhale into cobra or upward facing dog, thighs lifting off the mat if you're taking up dog. And exhale, let's take it back, downward facing dog. So just hold it here in down dog. 5 deep breaths again. If you find it hard to keep your spine straight, you can always bend your knees a little. It's fine. Just work on a long spine instead. Okay. If you need to take a break, bring those knees down. Take child's pose instead. Okay. Come back to down dog if you've taken a break. And at the end of this exhale, send your gaze up in between the hands. Step, walk, or hop your feet up to the top of the mat. So try hopping it up here if you want. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale to fold. And inhale, back up to standing. Stretch your arms up. And exhale, back to the start. Next we'll do Sun Salutation B. Bend your knees and sink into chair pose. Hands can remain in prayer or you can reach those arms overhead, coming into chair pose. Exhale, straighten the legs and fold into forward bend. Inhale, lift up halfway for flat back. Exhale, hands on the mat, step, walk or hop back into high push-up position. Knees can come down for low push-up. And inhale into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale back into downward dog. Here's where it is different. We're coming into a warrior one with that right foot stepping up. So right foot all the way up in between the hands. Turn the back heel down. And you're rotating your chest to the front. Keep that front knee over the front ankle and back leg straight for warrior one. Stay here, keep breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, Ujjayi breath. If you don't know what Ujjayi breath is, don't worry about it for now. Just keep that breath flowing long. You can always Google it later. All right, let's go one more deep breath. All right, let's bring those hands back down onto the mat. Step back into a high push-up position. Take that low push-up from your knees or from your toes. Elbows hug in close to the body. Inhale into cobra or upward facing dog and exhale back into down dog. Take the left foot and step it forward for warrior one. Turn the back heel down and inhale to lift up, warrior one. Steady gaze ahead of you or even in between the hands. Keep that front knee bent, back leg is strong. Keep breathing. One more deep breath. Bring those hands back down onto the mat. Step back into downward facing dog. You can stay right there for 5 breaths or add a vinyasa low push-up, cobra or up dog, and back into downward facing dog. Okay, 5 breaths from here. Good. Take that one last inhale, and at the end of that exhale, gaze in between the hands, step, walk or hop your feet up to the top of the mat. Once there, inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale, fold, forward bend. Sink into chair pose. Straighten the legs, inhale, reach, arms overhead, and exhale back to the start. Keep flowing now. Inhale, reach those arms overhead. Exhale, fold, forward bend. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, high push-up to low push-up. Okay. Take your variations, your modifications. Inhale, cobra or up dog, and exhale to flow back into downward facing dog. Good. Crescent lunge with the right foot forward. You're stepping the right foot up in between the hands. Make sure the front knee is over the front ankle. Softer version is to lower the back knee down. Crescent lunge, start to make your way up, reaching the arms overhead. Okay if the back knee is slightly bent, you're working to straighten the back leg eventually. Keep breathing here. We're coming into a twist in a moment. You can do one of two twists. So an easier version is to lower the left hand down into the ground and rotate your chest towards the right side. A little bit more vigorous is to bring your hands into prayer position and lean forward, hooking the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. And then pressing into your twist, keeping that back leg strong. One more deep breath. Carefully unwind back to the front. Bring your hands back down into the mat. Back down into the mat. Step back into a high push-up position. Take your low push-up, cobra or upward facing dog, and back to downward dog. Keep breathing. Next, we'll step the left foot forward to come into crescent lunge. Again, your back knee certainly can lower down here if you like. As you start to make your way up, modify this pose with slight bend to the back knee, or for stronger versions, straighten out that back leg. Keep that front knee over the front ankle. Soft gaze either straight ahead or in between the hands. Crescent lunge. Let's take the twist. One of the two versions, right hand can come down and you rotate your chest towards the left side, or bring the hands in prayer and right elbow to the outside of the left knee, hands in prayer position for that deeper twist. Back leg remains strong. We keep breathing. You can feel the body start to heat up now. One more deep breath. Carefully unwind back to the front, hands onto the mat. Step back into a high push-up and flow low push-up, cobra or up dog, and exhale back. Downward facing dog. Good. At the end of this exhale, send your gaze up in between the hands. Step, walk, or hop your feet up to the top of the mat. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale to fold. And inhale all the way back up. Let the palms touch. And exhale back to the start. Next, we're coming into a balance series, starting with the left foot balancing. Lift your right knee up about hip height. This is level 1. You just find your gaze, hands at the waist or in a prayer position, and just stay right here. If you want a little bit more, you can try straightening the right leg. So this is a lot of strength, or you can take the hold on to the right big toe with your right hand and straighten the right leg. So either way, you hold it here, find a steady gaze. Option if you've got a hold of the big toe to bow forward, keeping that spine long if you can. And then come on back up to standing. We're coming into a warrior tree right away. Begin to lower that right foot down into the mat. You might not want to touch it down. If you want a little bit more challenge, keep it hovering. And then start to shift back. Hands can be in prayer position at the waist, or stretched out in airplane, arms stretched out in airplane. Or you can reach the hands forward to come into a warrior tree. Steady gaze. Try your best to keep the shoulders and hips level. Okay, one more deep breath. And come on back up to standing. Give it a little shake off. And usually one leg is a little bit weaker than the other, and that's my left leg. It's my weaker leg. So let's shake that off with a full sun salutation. Hands in prayer. Inhale, reach those arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, high push-up, low push-up. Inhale into your cobra. And exhale back into downward facing dog. 5 breaths in down dog. Child's pose is a great way to rest here. Great place to grab a sip of water if you need to. Good. If you're in your child's pose, come on back up into downward facing dog. Good. At the end of this exhale, send your gaze up in between the hands, step, walk, or hop your feet up to the top of the mat. Once you get there, inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale to fold. And inhale all the way back up. Exhale back to the start. Okay. Other side, balancing on the right leg. Lift your left knee up about hip height and then hold it here, steady gaze, steady breath. You can straighten that left leg. You can hold it here, or for a more advanced version, grab a hold of that left big toe and straighten up the left leg. Good. And of course you can stay right here, or if you want a little bit more today, you can start bowing forward. You can try your best to keep the spine straight as you bow forward. And then inhale. Come on, back up. You can lower that left foot down into the ground just for a little break here if you want, or transition right away into your warrior tree. Still balancing on the right leg. Start to shift the weight. Shift that left leg back. You can have your hands in prayer position, just as we did before, or you can stretch the arms out in airplane, or reach those fingertips forward, coming into a warrior tree. And again, just do your best to keep level. Don't worry if you fall out, just come back into your warrior tree again. And we're going to come back into standing, release that left foot down onto the mat, give that little shake off, and let's continue to flow, hands in prayer. Inhale, reach your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold, forward bend. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, hands on the mat, step, walk, or hop back into high push-up, low push-up. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog, and exhale to take it back, downward dog. Triangle pose, right foot forward, right foot all the way up, turn the back heel down, come on up just to reset. So you've got your legs straight and your chest facing the long side of the mat. You can bring that right hand down towards the right knee, shin or ankle, press that left shoulder open. You can keep your left hand at the waist or stretch that left hand up for a triangle pose. So wherever you end up today, maybe your hands can touch the ground for triangle. Wherever you end up today, you're just going to imagine that there's a wall behind you and you're pressing open against that wall, resting against the imaginary wall. Good. Hold it here. One more deep breath. And inhale all the way back up. You see sometimes your body starts to shake, and that's normal. It's working really hard. You're looking for the edge, your edge. Pivot the front foot so that you've got both toes pointing to the same direction. Wide angle forward bend. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold into forward bend. So for this pose, you want to feel the stretch, the back of the legs. If you find your head touching the ground for this, your legs are too wide, bring them in a little closer. You want to keep the head off the ground for this one. Want to feel that stretch to the back of the legs, nice long spine, and continue to breathe. One more deep breath. Good. Let's take our way back to downward facing dog from here. Walk your hands forward. Step back into a high push-up position. Low push-up. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale to flow back into downward facing dog. Other side, left foot forward for triangle pose. Turn around so you can see me, but you've got your left foot forward and right leg back. Legs are straight. Left hand Comes down towards the left knee, shin or ankle, or maybe touching the ground. But make sure you've got that right hip pressed back and right shoulder pressed back. You can stay right here or stretch that right hand up towards the ceiling. So strong legs, good stretch for the legs and side body. Steady gaze, straight ahead of you or towards the right fingertips. Keep breathing. One more deep breath. And inhale. Let's come back up, all the way back up. Pivot the left toe so you've got both toes pointed in the same direction. Inhale to lengthen. As you fold forward this time, try the option of interlacing the fingers behind your back as you fold forward and press the hands away from the body. Relax your neck and facial features. Keep breathing. One more deep breath. And let's release the hands down onto the mat. And just holding it here just for a moment longer. Relax your neck and shoulders. And we're going to walk our way back to the top of the mat. Find your way back to downward facing dog from here. So you can either head right back or take your sun salutation, low push-up, cobra or up dog, and exhale back to downward facing dog. Next, we're going to shift forward into a high push-up position and land on our belly, but land softly. So let's take 5 breaths to do that. Shift slightly forward so that the elbows can become a 90-degree angle. And as you take low push-up, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Landing softly. So that wasn't 5 breaths, but 5 counts. Okay, so let's have your feet about hips width apart or slightly closer together. Draw the belly button forward. Shift your chest forward. Next, we're coming into locust pose. Your hands can be by your side, so you can take cactus position or reach those hands forward for locust pose. As you come into locust pose, you want to exhale to lift, and you can squeeze the glutes as well so that your legs lift off the mat, but keep those legs straight. So 5 breaths here. Your head is just coming along for the right, long neck. One more deep breath. And then we'll release and soften. Just a quick break here to relax. Do that again with those arms extended, or this time you can try interlacing the fingers behind your back, switching the grip around. And let's go ahead and lift up into locust pose, a different variation, 5 breaths. One more deep breath. Good. And then release and soften all the way back down onto the floor. Hands by your side, curled up toes under, push back up into a high push-up position and take low push-up, cobra or up dog, and back into downward facing dog. Good. Hold it here. Take child's pose if you need to. One more deep breath. At the end of this exhale, walk, hop, or just step all the way through to come into seated. So come into seated position, and we're going to do our boat pose next. For boat pose today, we're going to try different variations and see what works for you. So different modifications. You can start off with your hands by your sides and just lean back. So you want to create a V shape between your thighs and the torso. Create that V shape. Okay, so long spine, crown of the head, lifting up and back. Your hands is just there for support, and this may be it today, where you can release your hands and hold on to the back of your thighs, perhaps lifting the feet slightly off the ground, looking for a little bit of balance, a little bit of a boat. Half boat is a good option. You can release your hands here if you find it's comfortable. So the back is still straight. Keep breathing. For those of you who want to straighten the legs, go ahead and try that as well. Requires a lot of strength to keep the back straight though, okay? So be careful if you find your spine rounding, then just come into a half boat variation. Let's hold it here. One more deep breath. And then release the feet down onto the mat. And go ahead and roll onto the back, hugging the knees into the chest just for a quick moment. And then placing the fingertips by your ears or lightly cupping the back of the head. And then let those elbows open up out of your field of vision. You shouldn't be able to see those elbows. Have your knees stacked over the hips. Okay, and you can lift your head slightly off the ground. Straighten the right leg, keeping the left knee bent, and bring the right shoulder towards the left knee. Hold it here. Come back to the middle, and then same thing on the other side. Notice how slowly we're going, and it's shoulder towards the knee. Back to the middle, and first side. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale to twist. Inhale back to center. Exhale. Don't let those elbows come in. Inhale. Good. Keep going. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Okay, one more on each side. Good. Release, knees into the chest, give that a little bit of a roll out, and you can come back into downward facing dog. So how you make it back into downward dog is up to you. You can rock and roll up into seated. Hands on the mat, step or hop back into high push-up position. Right back into down dog is fine, or flow, low push-up, cobra, up dog, and back into downward facing dog. Good. Again, 5 breaths in down dog. Child's pose is a good option here. We're moving into a pigeon pose, a great hip stretch. Single-legged pigeon pose with the right knee forward. As always, if you don't want to come into this pose for whatever reason, it hurts your knees, come on down into your back instead and take pigeon, figure 4, reclined pigeon pose or figure 4 shape. Okay. For the rest of us, we're coming into a single-legged pigeon pose with the right knee forward. So bring the right knee up behind the right wrist, foot slightly to the left side, and you've got the back leg straight back, parallel to the long edge of the mat. Just try to keep the hips level. Don't let the right hip sink down. You want to keep it in line with the left hip. Okay. Shoulders level. Stay here in a little bit of a back bend if you want, as long as you want. Eventually, it might feel great to just relax and soften into a deep hip stretch, allowing the upper body to just totally relax. Deeper stretch, you need a little bit more. Bring that front foot forward a little bit more. Keep that right foot flexed, okay? Right foot flexed. Great, let's take one more deep breath here. Start to make your way back up by sliding your hands in under the shoulders, hands about shoulders width apart. Curl the back toe under, push into the ground to lift off the ground, back into a high push-up position, low push-up. Inhale, cobra or up dog, back into downward facing dog. 5 breaths in down dog. Bring those knees down if you need for child's pose, so you can always take a break. If you're in child's pose, come on back into downward facing dog. We'll slide the left knee forward for pigeon pose. Left knee behind the left wrist. Right leg straight back. Long spine. Relax forward. Again, make sure the hips are level. Don't let the left hip collapse. You can always place a pillow or block under that hip if you find that you keep leaning into that left side. Good, let's start to make our way back up again. Walk your hands back in, plant the hands about shoulders width apart, curl the back toe under, pick the hips off the ground, step back into high push-up position. Low push-up from your toes or from your knees. Inhale, cobra, up dog. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Okay. Again, 5 breaths. If you're resting in child's pose, come on back up into downward facing dog. We're going to come into seated from here. Walk, hop, or just jump all the way through into seated position. So just find your way into seated and stretch those legs out in front. We're going to do head to knee pose. Slide the left foot in and let the left knee open up to the side. Keep that right leg straight out in front of you. Right toe pointed up towards the ceiling. Long spine, you might be just staying here today, or if you think you could use a little bit more, long spine, fold forward, grab a hold of whatever's available to you, your foot, your ankle, or your calves, and inhale, lift up slightly, lengthen the spine, exhale, fold. Keep breathing. Next inhale, come all the way back up. Slide that right foot in, and then you can just wait right here, or you can step back into downward facing dog, or even jump back. Okay, so half sun salutation for those of you who want more. Low push-up, up dog, and back to down dog. So we're going to take that 5 breaths in your child's pose or in your down dog. One more deep breath. Come back into down dog if you're in child's pose. Step walk or jump all the way through into seated. Let's take that left foot forward. Slide the right knee in. Let the right knee open up. Face the long leg. Keep the left toe pointed up towards the ceiling. Again, staying right here is fine. Seated upright or fold forward. Hold on to whatever's available to you. Lift up slightly again. Lengthen the spine. Long neck. And fold forward. Keep that breath flowing. Deep inhales. Slow exhales. Next inhale, start to make your way back up to seated. Slide the feet in, crossing at the ankles. Stay right here or lean forward and jump back into high push-up. Meet in downward facing dog. 5 breaths in down dog, come into child's pose. Good. At the end of this next exhale, send your gaze up in between the hands. Step, walk, or hop your feet all the way through to come into seated position. Stretching the legs out in front of you, coming into incline plane. So we're going to slide the hands behind, about 6 inches behind, fingertips pointing forward, legs are straight, press down into the hands to lift the hips off the mat. So you might adjust a little so as you come up, the shoulders are still over the wrists. Send your gaze straight up towards the ceiling. Keep pressing strongly down into the feet, strong legs. Hold it. Okay, one more deep breath. And then carefully release. Bring the hips all the way back down onto the mat. Next, we're coming down onto our back. Okay, so let's carefully make our way down onto the back. Take a moment to hug the knees into the chest. Give that a little bit of movement. Rock the hips side to side. Yeah. Coming into a spinal twist. So just take your arms and stretch it out about shoulder height. Bump your hips towards the right side of the mat and let the knees drop to the left. So at this point, if you think you need a little bit more, you can try crossing the top knee over the bottom, more eagle leg position, and see how that feels. And turn your gaze to the opposite side as well, and just hold it here. Let's come on back to the middle and cross the legs, and then bump your hips to the left side of the mat. So your hips shift slightly to the left. Let the knees drop down towards the right side. You got the arms stretched out shoulder height. You can turn your gaze away from the knees, and if you want more, try wrapping the left knee on top of the right in eagle legs and see if that deepens the stretch for you. Just hold it here again. Just enjoy this beautiful stretch to the low back. That's where we're feeling it. And let's come on back to the middle. Unwind the legs. Bring your hips back to the middle. And then hug the knees into the chest. Give that a little bit of a roll out. We're coming into Savasana next. Hopefully we'll be able to stay here for about that 3 to 5 minutes. So if you're leaving me here, thank you very much and namaste. If you're following along with Savasana, we're going to try to let this run to the very end of our Savasana. Stretch your legs out about shoulders, hips width apart, slightly wider. Your arms just by your sides, and let the palms face upwards. Just relax the shoulders. Feel yourself really grow heavy into your mat. So feel yourself just relax, soften any tension that you're feeling. Just let it go. Let yourself just sink a little deeper into your space, and then close your eyes. And relax, enjoy Shavasana. very slowly, very peacefully and mindfully, start to make your way out of this pose. You can awaken the body with some small movements, like just roll out your wrists and ankles a little. Just awaken the body. And if you'd like to take a big stretch, reach your arms overhead, stretch from toes to fingertips with a big inhale. And exhale to release. One more hug of the knees into the chest. A little bit of a roll out. And then just rolling over to the right side, usually, or your favorite side. Carefully press your way back up into a comfortable seated position. Good. So I hope you enjoyed that Power Yoga Basics class. I hope that it was basic, but still challenging. Still gives you a good little pump and a good stretch and a good workout. And so thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that. Namaste.